Marnie from eYachts. We're here at Sanctuary Cove Boat Show showing off a range of different products. Here we're on the Axopar 45, which is the flagship of the brand Axopar. Axopar are a Finnish company. They sort of specialize in adventure boats. So it's kind of like an everything boat, right? So if you're wanting to do some wakeboarding, surf skiing, you've got roof racks on every single one of these boats, so you can grab a paddleboard, you can even grab a bike. So whatever you're looking to use a boat for, even if it's just relaxing, these boats will do it for you. They're ultimately a day boat focused on performance and efficiency. So if you wanted to head out offshore, they're great at that, and they'll do it efficiently as well. So it's kind of an all-rounder. There's a great range of options when it comes from Axopar, from 22 to 45 feet. The 45 has triple 300s, so we've got 900 horsepower all up, getting just over 50 knots. In the 37 range, we've got faster speeds, obviously a little bit lighter weight. You can go almost up to 60 knots on some of these boats. So yeah, very fast. If you're looking for an adrenaline rush, you can definitely get it with Axopar. We've got a full-size cabin with standing height and a walk-in shower and bathroom. Again, standing height, which really takes it to the next level. A few of the key features on this boat that we haven't seen before is the opening sides. That allows you to sit in the cockpit area, some people sitting on the sides or maybe dangling their feet off the edges. Another key feature down in the cabin is that area can also be converted into a lounge. So instead of just having the bed, that converts into a lounge area. So if you were wanting to get out of the weather, even on the Suntop model, you can do that. We've got these amazing gull wings that make it really quite airy and feel really spacious down there, which is great. Again, we're really going up from 37 to 45 feet. There is a huge difference in the beam and the size, and you really have to step on board to feel that difference. What's really cool about the 45 is that we have this wet bar as standard, really. So typically with these smaller models, you'll have a wet bar as an option. With this, you can have a aft cabin, just a simple bench, or you can have a U-shaped seating, but you still get this wet bar, which allows you to have a grill here, a sink here, and two really large fridges underneath as well. Behind me here, we've got the helm station. Impressively, with Axopar on the 45, we now have intelligent steering, which is super cool, super functional. You can have your hands on the wheel at all times and press all of the buttons from, your audio to all the rest of it. They're super easy to maneuver as well. I'm not ultra confident when it comes to being behind the wheel, but even on a 45-foot boat, these boats are super easy to get in and out of the dock. With the Suntop, obviously, you've got this huge space. You've got seating for probably 12 people quite comfortably around here, which is pretty impressive on a day boat in quotation marks. Obviously you have the overnight capacity, but what I think that people really love about Axopar is their walk around ability. The fact that it just feels so easy to walk around. There doesn't feel like there's any obstacles, and ultimately it's a great entertainer. If you're wanting to have lots of people on board, you've got the platform for it on this boat. We've got two electric sunroofs here. We've got one at the helm and one back at the cockpit here, which sort of allows you to have this whole open area or completely closed off as well. For those who are looking for a little bit more protection, we've got two additional models. There's the cross top, which sort of is almost your hybrid between an open boat and a closed boat. It has a forward facing windscreen that wraps all the way around the front, so preventing a little bit of windage. There's also a cross cabin, which means that this whole area is enclosed, slightly different configuration, perhaps a little bit less open, but for those who are wanting that protection or additional room for sleeping, that's another great option. So across the range, you've got starting from the 22 around that $150,000-$200,000 mark, and when you make it all the way up to this 45, we're looking at 1.25 as a base boat. So anywhere in between, whatever the type of options you're after is going to depend on what the pricing is going to come out at.
This is by a company called Rand. They're a Danish company. Their angle is to aim to be the most sustainable mainstream production boat builders in the world. So based out of Denmark, they've got a very, very high focus on design and cool lines. So a lot of their boats all have these really classic timeless sort of features, but bedded into that is some of the most cutting edge electronic technology that we can get. So this is a 100% electric boat. It's got a 265 kilowatt motor in it, which takes it to speeds of 30 to 32 knots. So it's actually really practical from a speed perspective. And it's got a big battery bank as well. So at slower speeds, at cruising speeds of 5 to 6 knots, you've got a range of about 150 nautical miles. So you really can use the boat all day long. It's the first of its kind into Australia. So there aren't any other electric boats quite like this. It's the first one we've brought in, so we're really excited. But at eYachts, we're carving a bit of a niche in the sustainable area. So we've been bringing in the Greenline hybrid boats for a little over 10 years now. Obviously the Rands are one of our most popular electric boats. And also the Candelas, which are the hydrofoiling electric boats as well. The first one of those arrives in about a month. So the acceleration in the industry and in the public interest is phenomenal at the moment. There is still a slight sound you do hear from the electric motor because it is a big electric drive you have in there, but it's nothing like you'd get from a traditional internal combustion engine. So when you reach certain speeds, normally around 10, 12 knots, the sound of the water really takes over. And that's a really nice experience. And the handling of the boat as well, because those batteries are actually bedded in really low, the center of gravity on the boat is very low. So she's a very planted boat. So great in a lot of different conditions. If you're at a slow cruising speed on this particular boat with the battery pack and the motor that it has, 5 to 6 knots of speed, you get about 250 kilometers. So obviously that's a huge amount of range. That obviously decreases the faster you go with the boat. So if you're wide open throttle and you're hooning along at 30, 32 knots, it's probably only about an hour and a half. So you do have to be conscious of the balance between nice, gentle, quiet cruising and sending it. We get a huge amount of interest from people who are very into that electric space already. So people who have electrified houses, very into their solar, home batteries. Pretty much all of our clients have been with electric vehicles for 10 plus years now. So they were the early adopters back when electric vehicles came in. Everyone was saying that'll never catch on, and obviously now look at how many there are on the roads. It's a similar story. It's those guys who now acknowledge that there's a real practical solution for electric boating, which has finally arrived. The boat is heavier because of the batteries on board than a traditional internal combustion engine would be. So this boat weighs around 3 tons all up. So it is heavier, but the location and the position of that weight in the boat makes a big difference. So being so low in the boat, it makes it very planted, a very solid boat in big swells. So you don't get slamming like you do with some lighter boats. So obviously that's a consideration when it comes to the build of the boat. So the rest of the boat is built as light as possible to accommodate the additional weight of the batteries. But the battery technology is accelerating at such a fast rate, and the latest generation of batteries are in this boat. But in the next 2-3 years, we'll probably see further advances. There will always be a place in boats for good old-fashioned internal combustion engines. Fishermen, for example, who want to go 20-30 miles offshore, I want to do that at 30-40 knots. There isn't going to be a solution from an electric perspective in the foreseeable future, but for how probably 3/4 of the people use their boats, which is slowly pottering around through the no-wake zones, exploring little bays, stopping around there, and then going for a bit of a hoon to get the wind in their hair, it's very realistic to be able to do that now. But the expectation for battery technology is that the energy density of the batteries will more than double in the next 2 to 4 years, which means you'll get twice the range. The motors are getting more and more powerful. So as far as we're concerned, it's inevitable that the scope for electric boats will just grow and grow.